Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly. Something just flew across your screen.
Tim's throwing the toy for Sora.
That's hilarious. Hi, Tim. Anyway, I'm Allison. Welcome to my weekly meltdowns coverage of not a reality show, but it could be The Last of Us on HBO Max, The Last of Us. Hello, Rory and Kylan in the chat. Yes. Let me just say, I have the Stomo pad is back. And I have 2, 4, 6 pages of notes that I took
Okay,
today.
good job.
I rewatched the 3 episodes and did a little research of my own because I'm fascinated with fungi all of a sudden, because there's a difference between fungi and fungus. But we will get to that, as I am now your go-to for anything and everything pandemic. Isn't that right?
Is it a pandemic or like an epidemic or
it's
like
a pandemic?
Okay.
This is a pandemic. And if you haven't seen it, go back and watch The Last of Us episodes 1 through 3 on HBO Max. We are not going beyond episode 3. I don't know spoilers. I accidentally came across some spoilers looking up some research for the show, but it's not a big deal. It's just, I don't play video games. Tyler is the resident video gamer, but you haven't played Last of Us.
No, I haven't, but like I've seen like of course like The Last of Us is like such a popular video game that they even made like a very faithful recreation with like updated graphics, like just like a few years after. So like I feel like whenever they do like a recreation of a video game for like improved graphics, it's usually after like 20 or 30 years and like a huge legacy behind it, right? So for them to do that like this soon, just like reiterated like how good and how praised that video game series was. So I've actually seen like the first level, which was the outbreak scene where he's like carrying his daughter like through the city and stuff like that. And I sent the link in our chat today. I was watching that scene specifically and I was like, damn, like that was basically like a 1-to-1 creation of like the video game scene. And it's so cool how like everything is shot in a way that like it looks like
mirrors the game,
like a video game.
They actually I've got, guys, I'm going to address your comments in a second in the chat because I'm seeing some interesting stuff. I was watching some videos today while I was doing some more research, and they showed shot frame by frame of the video game and the show.
Cool.
The opening scene when they're in the truck and they're driving, trying to figure out how to get out of town. Dude, that is frame for frame. And I was like, oh, this is great. And my husband has played the video game. Okay. So he's the one sitting over there going, oh, that's totally not what or that we'll get to a lot of that in episode 3 because I had to hear about it. Okay. Let me just put it to you like that. But anyway, so a lot of that, but to me, before we even get started, I've got, hold on, I'm going to address some of these comments. Kylan in the chat, the video game is incredible. I played the PS5 version, was my first time playing, just in time for the show. Oh, that's great. You need to come on and help us, guide us through this, because I need someone. I feel like The Last of Us really took cinematic style video game to the next level popularity wise. It's not like we're taking 1995 Mortal Kombat and turning it into a movie. This is some real shit. Okay. And the release of this, the time period that this game came out, I think maybe part 2 or something came out in 2020 during COVID. It's crazy. Like, and look, I'm just going to get into it. I watched y'all know me. And
so I want to preface like where we're going with this first with saying like after the first episode, and I know Allison, like you were a loyalist to The Walking Dead till the freaking finale, which like God bless, like that is, if that ain't commitment, I don't know what is. And so you've been through the ups and downs of The Walking Dead and that whole universe and like
Yes.
the show and the comics and everything. You said in our chat after the first episode of The Last of Us, you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm already obsessed. Like this is way better than The Walking Dead already." So I want to hear from you, like the relative like Walking Dead expert on our podcast. I want to hear like what is it that like The Last of Us the first episode like got so right that like The Walking Dead didn't. Like I want to hear it all. Go for it.
Yeah, before we get to 12 years I spent in one of the most abusive relationships I've ever been in, and that was with AMC and The Walking Dead. Okay. It started out okay, like the first, I don't read comics. Okay. So my son, who is now 26, at the time when The Walking Dead came out, he was 14, obsessed with comic books. And The Walking Dead was one of the first, like, more adult kind of comic books that, we had. And, I know it's not bad parenting to let a 14-year-old read get over yourself. Don't even come for me. Because trust me, I'll come for you. I will find you. I got connections. Don't I, Tyler? Be afraid. But anyway, I let my son he loved the first season of The Walking Dead. He loved the second season. In the third season, that's when when they got to the prison, that's when the real problems started. And he would show me, okay, this is what they're doing, and this is that. I get that not everything you put on paper can be translated into a show. They do this with The Last of Us, and we'll get to that as well as far as the outbreak goes, and how it's transferred. But they literally took something off the freaking page, like Lori dying in the prison with Judith, and freaking killed Lori, but kept Judith. And they were able to find all this baby formula in the middle of a freaking zombie apocalypse, and diapers and all of this unbelievable BS. And that's when I was like, okay, you're losing me. You losing me.
Did they like also like really change Andrea, the character? Like she dated Rick for like a very She was with Rick for a very long time in the comics.
Michonne, she was the Michonne character. She got with Rick. I don't believe they ever had a child of their own. And that's another thing that, they killed Carl. Spoiler if you haven't finished all 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. I'm going balls deep in spoilers. I'm going to be covered in it. So it's going to be coming out of me. But they took Carl and they killed him off. They took Rick and faked us out, blew him up off a bridge, and just so he could go off and have 3 Rick Grimes movies that I thought it was 3, so he could have his Rick Grimes movies. Okay. And now it's going to be a limited series with Michonne. And that has taken forever to get done. So you kill Carl, you kill Rick. You
killed Andrea too.
You turned Daryl Dixon into God, I don't even know what. Carol is really the only character left that had any fucking balls. And you leave Judith and RJ, Rick Jr., the baby that Michonne was pregnant with when Rick blew up. Michonne goes to look for Rick because there's evidence he's alive. And you leave the kids with Daryl, which is fine. But now Daryl's taken off to fucking France. Have you seen this? I am dying to know how they got his ass to France. But anyway, Daryl Dixon does France. Okay, he's in Paris. I don't know how, but who's watching?
Instead of Emily in Paris, it's Daryl in Paris.
Yeah, who is watching the kids? That's all I need to know. But anyway, it's just a bunch of bull crap, a bunch of just they strayed away from a lot of stuff. It never got back to its full potential. And that could happen with The Last of Us. I don't know. I'm just saying that everything that I felt in the first season and second season of more like the first season of The Walking Dead, as blown away as I was of that 13 years ago, I had all those feelings after one episode of The Last of Us. I felt that that I need the fly swatter. Everybody's telling me, where's the fly swatter? You know, I wish it seemed more realistic. If an outbreak like this is going to happen, baby, it's going to happen fast.
Yeah. Like
We've
shit
all
is just
seen
going to like immediately hit the fan.
Right. COVID, it happened. It may have happened a little slow,
Yeah,
but
that's
dude,
true.
once it hit, and that was it. And the way they just dove into it, the way they didn't pussyfoot around, they went right into it, is what I respected the most about it. Because the very beginning, I'm sorry, everybody, the Fear the Walking Dead, I will address, is the prequel series to The Walking Dead. I had high hopes for that. Crushed. I stopped watching after season 2, but everyone's telling me, Allison, you need to go back and it's living up to everything. I tried to watch some just out of for fun last season. I know what the hell's going on. Alicia doesn't have a hand. Her mom's back, and that bitch was gone in a herd of walkers. I don't even know. Are they gonna bring the dude back that fell out the helicopter? What are they going to do? I don't know. It's like a soap opera. You know how many times Stefano DiMera was decapitated on Days of Our Lives, and they don't brought his ass back 7 times? 7. So that's what it's turning into. You didn't see, I don't know. I've always been disappointed. I thought I was going to see how it started, and it didn't go the right way for me with Fear the Walking Dead. There were so many possibilities, and I think we were all kind of a little burnt out at the time on The Walking Dead, and it was time for something new. And it just, even The World Beyond was not good. It's just terrible. Anyway, so we get into The Last of Us. This is off the PlayStation game. It is a great game. My husband has played it. Obviously, Kylan, you have played it. There are differences.
I probably will eventually play it too.
I think you should. The way it starts out with this flashback to 1968 with 2 scientists on a talk show, and they're talking about viruses and people getting sick, and what's a pandemic and what does it mean. And it's very kind of eerie to hear them talk about it's not a cold or a cough or something like that that you should be afraid of. You should be afraid of the elements taking over, like fungi and stuff like that. And it's like, well, why is that? And they go into this explanation. One of the guys goes into this explanation about how fungi can get, what do they call themselves?
It's like a parasite, right?
Yeah, it gets in the brain and it takes over, and it won't allow the body to die. The fungi is what gets in you, and the fungus is what controls you. And you become a host, and you can't die. And these guys are called
mycologists?
It's mycology. So it's mycology.
The only reason I know that word is because A Series of Unfortunate Events, which is like a kid series, is like my favorite book series of all time. And they the 11th book is like introducing this like really deadly fungus called Medusoid mycelium or something like that. And they talked all about like mycology and like the science of like fungal like spores and how quickly you can like breathe that in and how quickly it can like take you over. It's crazy. And there are real life examples of this, more so in like insects. I think in The Last of Us, don't they say ants are the origin of the is it do you call it a virus or like I don't
really, they call it a fungi transfer from human to human. They're really, I haven't really heard them call it much of anything else.
Gotcha.
They refer to it as, I can't pronounce this, it's CBI, CORDY seps, cordyceps brain infection. It's called CBI, and they predicted it 30 years earlier. And the only reason, and they're saying that the only reason why this didn't come to fruition is because fungus cannot exist in a host that is above 94 degrees. And of course, we're 98 degrees Fahrenheit. And the scientist says in the interview in 1968, unless the world warms up, you know, we're not going to be a host for it. So we don't, you know, but it is something to worry about. I think it is something, you know, one guy's like, yeah, it's a problem. The other one's like, nah, it ain't going to happen.
Climate
Fast
change.
forward, global warming.
Yep.
And 98 degrees is just fine for the fungi to get in there and start sticking it in and breaking it off. One thing that I did notice that was pointed out to me was a fun fact about the game versus the show. The game takes place from 2013 to 2033. So there is still a 20-year gap, but we're starting with 2003 to 2023. And the way that it's transferred is a little bit different because they couldn't really transcribe from the video game to the TV show and make it kind of work, because you kind of have to gear away. And that, like I said, The Walking Dead did that with certain elements, but at a certain point it just got goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, Lori should have died in the prison with Judith. I will die on that sword until the day I die, period. And Daryl Dixon was not originally in the comic books. I said what I said. Okay, so we learn all about, they kind of cut to, we go from 0 to 9, and Tyler, jump in here any second because I got 6-page effing notes here. We ain't got that much time.
You are the zombie pro here, so I'll leave my comments and stuff, but I love hearing you talk about this stuff.
I'm nerding out here. We go from 0 to 120 miles per hour with the chaos. We meet Joel. We meet his daughter, Sarah. We meet Tommy. They live in Austin, Texas. It's his 36th birthday. Sarah wanted to make him some pancakes. Well, guess what? He didn't get any mix. Is this foreshadowing? I think so. Think about that. Let that marinate in your little brain there, in your little mycology, just a little marinating. But anyway, so we meet these characters that the relationship, you know, is obviously a single father has raised his daughter. They have a very close relationship. She fixes his broken watch. There's a little bit of chaos going around. She gets kicked out of the store, has to go home. She visits her neighbors who've been eating biscuits all day, the Adlers. Nana ain't looking so good in that wheelchair. And no, Sarah doesn't want those raisin cookies. I don't know who out there's eating raisin cookies. Okay, I need to know who these people are, because I'm from the side and I don't eat raisin cookies.
I mean, they're old people. I feel like old people are like pretty into raisin cookies, right?
I'm a grandma. Oh, thank you, Kylan. Thank you so much. I'm a grandma, but I have not, I guess I'm not officially in the granny until I have crossed over to the oatmeal cookies. Thank Jesus. Thank Christ for that.
Still got time.
Yeah, still got time. So there's you know, they're trying to, you know, their character developing. We're caring about these characters. I had no idea what was coming. Chris was just, my husband was just kind of looking at me because I'm into this, you know, I'm like, watch, like, I have no idea what's going. Planes are falling out of the sky. Poor Sarah's over at her neighbor's house going to check out what's going on. Nana is eating her daughter and father-in-law. All hell's breaking. Like I said, planes are falling out of the sky. People are shooting each other. All kinds of crap is going on. Joel shows up with his brother after bailing him out of jail for getting in a fight with someone who's obviously infected. And he's shooting them, getting rid of them, taking Nana out with a monkey wrench. A monkey wrench, Pedro Pascal. And I just want to say something about Pedro Pascal. God bless America. God bless Chile. Because he is from Chile. And I love me some Chilean men.
There you go.
I support it. Just wrap me in a Chilean flag. I'm ready to go.
I believe he's previously known from
he's the Mandalorian.
Game of Thrones or the Mandalorian. Okay, gotcha.
He was in the Mandalorian. He was in Narcos on Netflix. Oh yes. God knew what he was doing. Very nice. Looks good in jeans. Very good in jeans. Watch Narcos. Okay, just watch that on Netflix. You'll know what I'm saying. But he is the Mandalorian, because I know my husband kept going, why does he sound familiar? And I'm like, close your eyes and envision Grogu. And he's like, oh my God, that is so. I'm like, yeah, it is. So we end up caring about these characters in less than 20 minutes. And in this time period, all hell's breaking loose. And we lose Sarah. We lose Sarah as less than a few hours into this, the government has already decided we don't care what kind of wounds you have. We don't care what's going on. Shoot to kill. We're getting rid of you. That's it. And Joel holding his daughter who has twisted her ankle and is hurt after their truck is totaled. After a plane crashes behind them and the wheel takes out their truck. And the soldier shoots at them. The daughter gets shot. The brother shows up, saves Joel from getting shot by the soldier by shooting the soldier, and his daughter dies. And it's very emotional. And yes, Pedro Pascal is a wonderful babysitter. Yes.
I don't know what that means.
I'd put a diaper on and let him change it. Too much? Too far? Too soon? Anyway, it's a little over there, a little over the edge. But so we get into it. Immediately kind of cuts to 20 years later. He's like, this destroys him. He's a shell of a man. He doesn't have emotions. He, from what I can tell, does not open up to people. He got from Texas to Boston, which I hope, we find out really, how that happened. He's shacking up with this girl named Tess. He's just throwing the dead bodies into the fire. We open with a young little boy that tests positive for whatever this is, and for CBI. And they tell this little boy, we're going to give you whatever kind of food you want. We're going to give you clean clothes and toys and your favorite candy, whatever. And they give him a shot. They basically euthanize him like a dog, and didn't tie him up to throw him into. What is the point of that?
Maybe because like they don't know like if they're going to turn into a zombie or something like after they die, so they want to like contain them, even though I feel like that wouldn't even work because they become super strong.
Yeah. Black Widow Brigade, thank you. Not a spoiler, but there was no plane in the game. That was HB. Let me tell you something. But you know what, Black Widow Brigade, there is nothing cooler than a plane falling out the sky. I'm not going to lie. They did it. I don't know. I was a huge fan of the show Revolution. I don't know if there are any revolutionaries out there who followed that show for the 2 years it was on. We only got 2 seasons of that. That show had so much freaking potential, and a plane fell out of the sky. Tyler, that show was on NBC, and we lost electricity. That's all it was. We lost access to everything, and planes were just freaking falling out. It was insane. I love that show. But anyway, yeah. So let's see here. He's doing that. He and Tess are trying to get a battery. A deal's gone wrong with the guy they're dealing with. They end up meeting what do they call it? The Fedra. I don't think the Fedra are good guys. They're the government, right?
It's total like authoritarian style. Like even them, like all the people having like instead of currency, they have like little like token
credits,
credits that they have to like ration out for like food and stuff like that. So yeah, Kylan says like sorry, I thought he was saying I'm sensing a revolution here, but that's the thing. Like you can see like what's his face, Joe.
Is it Joel really, or Joe?
Joel.
Okay.
But like you can see he's like trying to like figure something out, like make a better life for himself and Tess and stuff like that. And he gets a little rumblings going. Like there's definitely a lot of like I agree, Allison, that like I'm glad they're just like jumping right into it and not wasting any time. Like I'm glad we're just like skipping to this and seeing that there's already like all this distrust in the new government factions. All these like underground like rumblings of like a revolution.
It kind of reminds me of like Fireflies.
Yes, yeah. It reminds me of like Star Wars and the Rebellion. Like that's like kind of like the vibe that I feel like they have.
You have the evil empire. So funny they would come back around with Star Wars with Pedro Pascal. I mean, this guy's never going to escape it. Every movie, everything he does is going to have some kind of Star Wars comparison analogy or something. But yeah, they end up getting with this revolutionary group. I think, yeah, they're called the Fireflies, and they have this young woman who calls herself Veronica, but her real name is Ellie. And she actually died. I did a little backstory research on her. She's raised by the group, sent off to school, all of this stuff, gets bit, and that's why they had like, oh shit. So they've got her chained up, making her count and taught and do all this stuff to make sure she's okay, because this has never happened before. But I did a little research. I don't know if this is spoilery, but we know her mother died.
Like I'm okay with spoilers. So
yeah, I mean, we know her mother is dead, right?
Mhm.
And she died when she was in childbirth.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, from what I've read, she's immune because her mother died and had, I guess, the virus or CBI or whatever, and you automatically have the antibodies. If you've ever read The Stand by Stephen King or seen The Stand, the baby that's born in the end, spoiler alert, they're afraid is going to be sick because the baby hasn't been exposed. But what you don't understand is the baby is born with the antibodies. That's a whole other show. That's a whole other show. But most of the time,
that's kind of like that's the value of Ellie, right? Is like that. That's like the ultimate goal. Is like Joel wants to get Ellie to where in order for them to like get her antibodies, right?
Okay, so what they're doing is the Fireflies have made a deal with Joel and Tess. Hey, if you take Ellie, they've been attacked. Okay, some deal went wrong. Their little place has been attacked, and they can no longer take Ellie to the old state house. Wait, hold on. Yeah, they need to deliver her to the old state house in Boston, and they can't do it anymore because they've been attacked. Listen, if you guys do this for us, we will give you a battery. We will give you anything you need. And they're like, okay, whatever, they'll do it. And they decide, okay, we'll take her. You let her have her little knife or whatever, which I thought was totally cute when she tried to attack him. And he's like, no, you can't. No, don't even think about it. I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, they have to deliver her to these people at the old state house, and they'll get supplies and the battery. So Tess and what's his name, Joel, end up going to their apartment, which is covered in butterflies, which is a big thing, I think, possibly from the comic book. Sarah, the daughter, originally had a butterfly. I don't know if it was on her shirt, but it was in the windows in the house. They show a butterfly, and someone I was reading somewhere made the comparison that Joel is in a major need to turn it around. Like, he's lost all hope. I'm done. I've done some shady shit to get where I am. And there's no turning. I'm done. And a butterfly kind of symbolizes the beauty within the dirt and the grime and the cocoon, and it opens up. So there's butterflies on the wall. Like, they've got this whole mural by the couch with butterflies in the window, and she's kind of looking around and picks up this book and notices a piece of paper in this Billboard Hot 100 chart book. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, Tyler.
I don't think so.
This book is like an encyclopedia of every song that's been number one, what year, the whole, look, this is the Hot 100 for the week ending February 3rd, 1977. This is the 100 most popular songs. Okay, you can Google that now. You couldn't Google this back then. So somebody's got time to sit and read this shit, I'm telling you. It's usually something you read on the toilet, but that's just me. But anyway, she picks up this book, she's flipping through it, and there's a little piece of paper on it that says, in parentheses, B/F, and it has 1960s equals nothing in, 70s new stock, and 80s is a red X, which means trouble. So, of course, BF stands for Bill and Frank, because she flat out, asks him about it. And she's like, what is that? What does the 80s mean? What does that X mean? And he's like, it doesn't mean anything. You should mind your own business. And then she tricks him and says, oh, while you were taking a power nap, Wake Me Up Before You Go came on by Wham. And it's an 80s
that's
song.
my go-to karaoke song.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's a great song. Wham. I love that. I love how the movie Keanu just was all about George Michael and Wham. But anyway, that's a whole other show. So, and he's like, what? Really? She's like, gotcha. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't like it when kids gaslight me and play mind games. I don't like it. Like, I was like, this kid's going to piss me off. I like her, but she would piss me off out the gate. We would have issues.
I agree. Like, she's just a little too like nails on a chalkboard for me. And so I'm looking forward to her kind of like softening up a little bit, especially like the relationship that her and Joel, not relationship, but like, you know what I mean? Like, like I feel like by the end of this, he will see her as like a daughter, kind of like living on like the one that he lost. You know?
Well, speaking of which, Tess comes back, making arrangements for them to leave, because you have to be in at night. You are not allowed out at night. You have to be in. It's on lockdown. You get shot, arrested, all kinds of stuff. So Tess, Joel, and Ellie, they sneak out, and they get caught by the same. It isn't a police. I don't even know what to call this guy.
He seems like a very like low rank guard.
He's like he's a Fedra, because he says Fedra, but he's like he's like a mall cop. Okay. So this guy, the mall cop, finds him, stops them, and busts them. And this is a guy that he traded credits with earlier. He got cigarettes from, he gets pain pills and all this stuff. So he's like, look, man, we can just talk, just let us go. I will cut you a deal on stuff in the future. Just turn a blind eye, please. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. And Joel is actually the voice of reason here. He's trying to, Tess is like, everyone get on the ground, just whatever. And little, Bill Blart, mall cop over here, wants to try to throw his stick around. And he's like, no, I want all of it. You're not cutting me. Get on your knees and blah, blah, blah. And this. And Ellie, and this is where we would have problems. We going to talk about how this bitch don't listen. I love her to death, but she don't listen. She just stabs Paul Blart. Okay? She just freaking stabs him and causes drama, unnecessary. And he ends up having a PTSD moment. I think it's the only thing I can compare it to, with a flashback of his daughter in the same moment, and impales the guy, Joel does, and kills him. And they end up, and we get into episode 2. However,
probably the right decision in that moment.
He is testing them before all this happens. Right before he gets to Ellie, Blart, the mall cop, is testing them to see if they're infected. Well, isn't it kind of funny that right when they get to Ellie, she pulls a knife on him? And I think they check her because it turned red, and they didn't see it until after the fact. And Tess is like, whoa, she's infected. That's a little something I kind of would have liked to have known ahead of time. That kind of makes me feel a little expendable.
I don't know. Like, I feel like with that specifically, like, the less they know, the better, because I assume that, like, especially with Joel seeing his daughter just like shot, just like, and killed, just like on a total whim of like, we think they may be infected. If there's like proof that somebody is infected, like, I'm sure they would just kill her and like not even think twice about it. So just don't even bring it up. I think is like the safest play here.
See, I also kind of feel like if I've got this precious cargo that needs to get from point A to point B that's really important, just freaking tell me. Because what happens next is like, oh shit, she's infected. Because they could have shot her right then and there if they hadn't listened.
Right.
I mean, it could have, but you're right. I mean, I get it, but I'm just kind of like, I want to know what's so special about you that I'm a little bit expendable at this point.
Yeah.
You're coming up red, you're infected. Why? What is going on? And she's got this kid who has never been outside the wall, who has never been in the freaking woods. Okay, it's never been in a car. Is grilling Pedro Pascal about being in an airplane. All these little things that we have taken for granted. It has to explain to them, this is what happens and blah, 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 which gets us into episode 2, which is entitled Infected. So what I liked about, and we'll get to what happens after, what happened at the end of episode 1? Well, we go into episode 2, and we are in
Boston, right?
We're in Indonesia.
Oh, right.
We're in Indonesia with the professor who's a mycologist, who is a professor of mycology, which is the study of fungi. And we're in Indonesia. And is this Jakarta, Indonesia?
Maybe somebody in the chat can confirm if it's important to the story. I don't know.
Okay, it's the capital of Indonesia, which we learned in episode 1 because they were talking about it. And Joel and his brother are like, what is that? Is that like a suburb in Tennessee? What are we talking about? What is that? Is that its own country? Is Jakarta okay? And I'm just like, dude, that would be something I would say.
Yeah.
When I'm not thinking. But anyway, they're trying to kind of, give a little insight into what's going on here. And this is a little important. And I'm a big nerd, but this is 2 days before the breakout in Austin, Texas. So what happened in Austin, Texas was September 26, 2003. Black Widow says, these scientist flashbacks are not in the game. Okay. So we're getting a little extra detail here. I like that. Thank you.
I like that. Like a little extra world building. Thank you, Kylan, for giving us that insight.
Yeah. Well, I think that was Black Widow Brigade.
Oh, Black Widow. Sorry.
Yes. No, that's okay.
But no, we love these comments, too. Like giving us
everybody.
Little, like,
yeah. So this, what happened was, I think it was September 26, 2003, when all hell broke loose in Texas. Oh, that's Georgia. Devil broke loose in Georgia. It's a really good song with a fiddle in it. But anyway, we're not talking about the Hot 100 book list because we're in Texas, not Georgia. Anyway, I'm tired. So anyway, we're in Jakarta, Indonesia. It's 2 days before. It's 2003. This lady, this professor, she's a mycologist. They take her in to look at this body, okay? And it's got a cut on the ankle. Now, later on, we find out there's 3. You get bit in the face or the neck or the chest and torso and the legs and ankle. There's different incubation periods.
Yeah.
Okay, so this person got bit on the leg, which is the longest incubation period. That is the longest it can simmer in you, that you can go out and you can be social, you can go into work and have your flip out and turn into a rabid dog, and the shit turns into 28 fucking days later. Okay, so this is important for later. Just saying, So she's looking at all this. They get the samples. She's putting it under the microscope and she's looking at it. And they called it Ophiocordyceps. Okay, Ophiocordyceps. Okay, I don't have a PhD. I have a GED. Okay, don't ask me to pronounce things with more than 3 syllables. So what it turns out is Ophiocordyceps unilaterus. Dude, where's Tim? Can he freaking pronounce this shit?
Right, he's taking Sora out, but
unilaterus. So Ophiocordyceps unilaterus is what the ants and the fungi and the turning you into a zombie, all this stuff, and you don't die unless you're shot in the head, and all of this stuff, and you get the spores are attaching to you, and all this stuff. Because she looks at it under this microscope, she's like, where did this come from? And they're like, well, it came from the body. Holy crap, it's happening. Because then they kind of go back to the beginning of the first set, like, oh shit, so the inevitable is happening. What can we do to cure this? Baby, there ain't nothing you can do to cure this. You need to bomb this city, and I need to go home so I can sit with my cats while this bombing is going on. I got to go. I got to be with my family. Let's get out of here. But there's nothing, they can't really do anything about it. I was trying to see what else they had. Something about
I just want to say on the record, on air, like if there's ever a world catastrophe in our lifetimes
yeah.
where New York City is bombed, for example, I am totally fine with that being the end of me.
Amen. I want to
I
die
would not
too.
want
I'm
to
done.
live in a world post New York City. If that happens to me, do not feel bad for me. Do not feel like my life is cut short. Do not grieve. You can grieve me, but like it's okay.
Just know that I will be dead. Tyler, we will do an assisted suicide together. Okay. We will do it on our FaceTimes together. Okay. I'm not playing.
It's like episode 3.
We'll be episode 3. I'm totally Bill though. I get to be Bill. You be my Frank.
That's fine.
I can't do it. I can't, dude. I wouldn't even be able to make it on Survivor taking an aqua dump in the ocean. You want to throw me in the middle of this shit? I ain't having it. The worst, I'd be a slave, a sex slave. I would get sold. There'd be all kinds of stuff being stuck in my body. It'd be terrible because that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movie out with Viggo Mortensen in it. I'm just saying. I read the book. It's about something similar to this, but it's crazy. But anyway, let me get to the rest of my nerd stuff for episode 2 because I really want to get to episode 3. So, global warming, I guess we're going to make political statements. You can't not make political statements that they are really drawing in laying on the global warming thick, that they're saying because of global warming, the shit is able to digest itself and stick itself into the human body over 94 degrees in 98 degrees. That has happened over 30 years. So that's how it happens.
It's not impossible. Like that, like the science of that like makes sense to me. I'm not a professional, or I'm not like a scientist or anything like that, but like the reasoning is pretty sound. So like as like political as it may sound, like that could possibly be a result that we don't know about, like with
Kyle, not to scare us, too late, Kylan, but the Wall Street Journal posted about fungi and warmer temperatures today. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. There's a lot of shit we don't know. Okay? There's a lot of shit that I will believe until my last breath that went down with COVID that we don't even know about. I guarantee you there was a finger on a nuke button pointed at New York and other places, and we were probably a split hair away from all dying and having third eyeballs in the middle of our head. I'm serious. Y'all think I'm joking. I'm telling you, they know stuff that they don't tell us about. How the hell something spreads so fast, so quick? No, don't. I'm just saying there's stuff going on that we don't know about, and I will never, you won't, I tell you, I'll die on that sword. I will. But so there's no containment. The person that in Indonesia, they were looking at worked in a flour plant, I believe, that you make pancakes. Joel forgot to get the pancake mix. Joel didn't want biscuits from the Adlers that morning. Neither did Sarah. No birthday cake. Daddy didn't bring home the birthday cake. This is all divine intervention because, like Mrs. Adler said, you people need Jesus. That's why this is happening. I know y'all all thought about me when she said that. I know you did. I know.
I did.
Guys, you did. I know it. So this person infects the wheat, and it goes out all over the place. And then the timeline makes sense because it's bread, it's this and that. And it happens so fast because if you're watching the attack in the city, people are getting bit on the neck and the face.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the quickest incubation period right there. I think it said 1 to 5 minutes. I wish I had taken a screenshot.
No, I think you're right. I think the sign did say I think it said 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. So there's that. But because Joel even goes into detail kind of explaining that to Ellie, like, how did this happen? Was it a monkey? No, this did not happen with Dustin Hoffman in a helicopter looking for that monkey from Friends. No, that is not how it happened, but good try. But you know what? In 1995, when that movie Outbreak came out, I'm telling you, that scared people. We had the internet, but we didn't have stuff like we do now. So if something were to happen, you could blow up a little city and blame it on something else, and nobody would be the wiser. That's the world that we live in. So now we kind of get into episode 2. Joel and Tess are a little freaked out that they've got a girl. Let me see the bite. They kind of watch her all night. What happened? You're immune. They didn't tell us. But you got a big fat chicken sandwich in your back. I'm just like, where'd she get this big old chicken sandwich? That thing was full. It looked good. I wanted some. But she got this big old chicken sandwich, and it's just sitting there eating it and answering all their questions. And Tess kind of has a moment where, just like, this could be something. And Joel is like, no, this is bullshit. I've been there, done that, 20 years into this. It's a tell us all the time. There's always a CDC center somewhere. That's where they went the first season of The Walking Dead. They went to the CDC center in Atlanta. It was underground. That doctor had been there a long time alone, and he had everything you could need, but he didn't have an answer. He didn't have a cure. There was nothing, and he ended up blowing up the place, and they had to get the F out. So there's always that person that you think, it's always a dog chasing its tail. It never adds up. That dog don't hunt, nothing. So they've got to let's see here. They're taking her through.
It's basically like episode 2 is, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
It's basically just like a fetch quest, in my opinion, to kind of show us like how, like, worst case scenario, like what the post-zombie world is like. Like that's kind of what I felt like the purpose of episode 2 was for us to see fully evolved like zombies, like how they behave, what they look like, how they're able to like communicate through like the vines of like spores that have like taken over the city, like stuff like that.
That is, now I could be wrong. I had a note about that because my husband had said something to me, hold on, about that is different from the video game.
Okay.
The spores in the ground, like and I could be wrong, and please don't come for me, okay? I don't know anything about the video game. I'm innocently covering first 3 episodes of a show I'm obsessed with. So cut me some fucking slack. But the spores, it's kind of like a Morse code. It's in the ground, and they can, if you kick one on the ground, it's sending that Morse code out
miles
to a herd
away,
of them. Miles. Yeah, I've got that on here. I mean, it's the tendrils alert, I think is what they that stuff that was coming out of the mouth, and like the thing she pulled out in the beginning of the episode, the See, I have a phobia of hair. Okay, of hairs, and this shit looks like hairs. That's all I'm gonna say. When Nana was biting Mrs. Adler in the first episode, she came up with that crap coming out of her mouth with hairs in it. I about lost everything I'd had to eat for that day. But so that's the tendril alert. The fungus is connected and can wake up a group from miles away. So that is why they have to be super careful when they come across some. They even find some tendrils that are old and dried up that he even tests at one point. They're going into the where are they going? The Bostonian Museum. And
have you ever been to Boston?
I've never been to Boston, but the next time the mouth stuff is legitimately made by skin crawl. Yes, Black Whip, me too. Ooh, we're gonna get into that kiss. I got words. But anyway, we're in the Bostonian Museum. At this point, they're kind of educating Ellie about the infected. There's different kinds of infected. There's the kind that can blowed up, they're bloaters, and they can freaking projectile spores at you. It's nasty. And then you have the clickers, which is what we encounter. Dude, these clickers look like someone just stomped on their head and it split, and it's just the nastiest shit. It's so gross. Y'all ever see Pirates of the Caribbean? Which one it is when they're underground and they got like starfish growing out
the comparison.
Face. That's what it reminded me of, and I couldn't deal with it. It's nasty. So they have the clickers that are blind. They go on sound, they're blind. So everything that they're doing, they can't see, but boy, they can hear everything, and they can signal each other and all that stuff. And they encounter this big fight goes down, and apparently Tess, in the middle of all this, she gets bit. And I could kind of tell something happened because she was acting when they left. I was like, oh, she got bit. She get bit. Chris was like, she got bit. Because because I didn't know. I don't know. I'm going into this, like I said, innocently. I've got no idea.
That must be a cool experience to like watch it with somebody who has played the video game. Though.
But Ellie got bit again?
Yeah.
Dude, if she wasn't immune, her ass would be 100% dead. There is no way around it. Look, stop. I would beat her ass with my fly swatter. I'd be like, stop getting bit. I know you're immune and you're crazy special and shit, but don't be just throwing your arm out there to distract. Don't do it. It makes me nervous and I don't like it.
But at least that answers the question of like, was that bite just like
a red herring, a fluke?
Is the magic within Ellie, or was it like something faulty about that specific zombie that bit her? So now we know it is like for sure like Ellie is the variable here. Ellie is the one to really protect here.
Well, she gets injured. Tess gets injured. We don't see her injury actually take place because she's trying to find ways to get them out, and I guess that happens at another point. So they end up getting out, and she gets bit. They finally make it to the Capitol building. I think they get out of there. They get to the Capitol building, and this is where they're supposed to meet all these fireflies to kind of drop off Ellie. But when they get there, they notice everybody's dead. There's been an ambush of some kind, and the infected are alerted when I think one of them in the floor, they shoot him, and that just the tendril alert goes out.
Yeah.
The little tendril Morse code goes out, and they've got to get the F out. And that's when she says, look, I got bit, get her out of here. Do what's right. This is our, she kind of gives them, this is hope. Get it out of here. She's fucking Luke Skywalker. Let's get her out of here. She's a new hope. Maybe she has a cure. Who knows? So Tess ends up sacrificing herself, and she pours there's a canister of gasoline that she knocks over, and she's trying to light it on fire, and she's having a hard time getting the flint's going out on this lighter. Okay. And one of the infected just walks up to her and puts his hairy spore in her mouth. And I'm like, I could live my entire life and never had seen. So I
almost made that close up the thumbnail for this video, because like I've rewatched that moment like 5 or 6 times because it was just so insanely disgusting, like something I've never seen before. And they actually did like a post episode like explanation of like they wanted to showcase like what because like of course the natural reaction when you see a zombie like that is to run, to fight, basically to like cause like a big like draw of attention one way or another. But what happens if you just stand there and let it be, especially because she was already infected? So the zombie that went over to her knew that they were already like a part of them, if that makes any sense. So like that kiss was like basically the like them reaching into like a new host, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, she's already infected, and they're going right past her because they can sense it. So
that's a good comment. Kylan said, I found it disgusting yet beautiful. Yeah.
And Black Widow said that did not happen in the game, and it's so creepy. It was a
I
great look.
liked the addition. If it wasn't in the game, like I'm glad that they did that. I thought it was very cool.
There's nothing attractive about these people at all. I'm gonna flat out say it. They look like it's gross. And if they were attractive, good looking, vampire like people, and it was just, yeah, no, that's not, this is gross. And I'm not, but I love it. I love it. It works. This is, this could happen. It could happen. So before we get into episode 3, because this kind of takes us into episode 3, I got a vibe at this point. I don't know, Tyler. I'm going to go with the answers no. I already know it. I don't even know why I'm opening up this Pandora's box, but I'm going to do it for Kylan and Black Widow and everybody else that's in the chat with us, Rory. I got a little bit, a smidge of 28 days later. 28 days later, I don't know if you've ever seen that. No, of course I did. 28 weeks later, never seen that in the sequel. Nope. Why am I not surprised? Cillian Murphy was in the original 28 days later, and that is just a 2005 masterpiece. Takes place in London, England. A blood pandemic breaks out, and it does, I think, come from monkeys. They kind of clarify that up in the second one. But your eyes are filled with blood. You rage. It's a rage. And you get bit and infected with the saliva, you're a rager. You're not a vampire. It doesn't go that far. It's freaking rabies. Okay, it's about what would happen if we're majorly infected with rabies. Now, these people in the first episode are so rabid, I got a little bit of a vibe of the rabies, because the people in 28 days later, when Cillian Murphy, he was in a coma and wakes up from the coma, and the city is shut down, and he's walking around looking for everybody. This sounds nothing like the first episode of The Walking Dead, does it? Yeah. Not a bit. Wow. I've never made that comparison until just now. What a heavy rock I've been under. But he's walking around and everyone's gone. He walks into a church and all of these infected are laying together and they're not moving. And one of them just gets up and quietly looks at him and chases him. So what I liked was how when the infected weren't doing anything, they were just hanging out.
Yeah.
They're just laying there. They're freaking sunbathing, man. They're just in the sun. They're hanging out. They're doing their thing. They're sleeping. They're napping. That's not something you get to see on The Walking Dead. If you come across a big herd, they're just walking around in circles. You never really get to see this. They touched on it a little bit when Andrew Lincoln rode into Atlanta the first season on horseback, and you see him kind of hanging out in the bus and all this stuff. And you kind of got a little bit of that, but I just kind of got a little bit of 28 days later feel from that a little bit. But so who's this? Just wanted to add the voice actress for Tess in the Last of Us game, Annie Wershig, passed away. Oh, that's sad. January 29th. Well, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. May she rest in peace. Wow, what timing for that. So anyway, that was kind of one of my comparisons that I was making. I really feel like you need to watch 28 Days Later. 28 weeks later is good, but 28 Days Later it's good. It's great.
Watch party with your patrons.
Yeah, we should. Yes, for sure. So, guys, I'm sorry. I get excited about this stuff. I used to cover shows like The Walking Dead and all of that before I started.
Why are you apologizing? Like, I'm speaking for the people right now. Like, you have nothing to apologize for. Like, no, this is a good recap. Like, please keep going.
I give too much detail.
I have some
I've
stuff
been told.
to contribute for episode 3, but this is very, very good stuff. So keep going.
So
And
we
stop
get into.
apologizing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry for saying I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay, so episode 3 is titled Long, Long Time. Just happens to be a Linda Ronstadt song. And I just want to point out something really quick. Linda Ronstadt has the voice of an angel. Okay, you need to look her up on whatever musical thingies that you're on and just listen to the. She can't sing anymore. She's still alive. She had something, a disease, something. The woman cannot sing anymore. Can you imagine having such a beautiful voice and it being taken away from you? She can't even speak. It's terrible. But boy, she's making a lot of money off these royalties, so she's living fine. But yeah, she can't sing anymore, and it's really sad. So go download her music. It's great. She's got a bunch of great songs. So this episode, sir. Okay, I had written some things down about this. We kind of open up. There's not a lot of Joel and Ellie. Okay, we open up with them as a nap. They spent the night in the woods. Ellie's never been in the woods. They make a pact not to talk about Tess, and he's mad about, he's just mad. And Ellie's like, look, you guys made the choice to take me on this trip. No one put a gun to your head. Nobody made you do it. So if you're going to be mad, that's fine, mourn your loss, but don't take it out on me because I didn't make you do it. And she's got a good point. She's got a really good point. He's like, fair enough. They're walking around. They see a plane. He's talking about riding in planes, the little things we take for granted. And then we come across this shallow grave of 20-year-old skeletons. One is a baby skeleton, which I looked at Chris. I said, I am not about to watch them kill a baby or have a baby eaten by one of these things. I'm not doing it. And he's like, don't worry, it's fine. So this leads into the story of Bill and Frank. And fun fact, video game, this storyline is not in the video game. We know Bill and Frank know each other. We know they were partners. We know that Frank left a letter that Joel found saying, I had to get the F away from Bill. I couldn't take it anymore. He's a terrible human being. And he ends up getting attacked and hangs himself in the video game because he doesn't want to turn. So the big thing that I have heard, and let me tell you something, this is a beautiful episode, and I'm not going to take away from it a bit, but there are people that have a problem that they took something that was very brief and they made it into something else. Well, I don't give a shit. I think it was beautiful.
I think it enriches the world so much.
Yes.
Like this is how people are living that are not caught in that authoritarian government lifestyle. I thought it was fantastic.
Because I kind of saw it a mile away just because when it said next week and Murray Bartlett's face popped up on the screen, the guy who plays Frank, who is an openly gay actor, and I love him to death. I was like, oh, these two are hooking up. Nick Offerman and Murray, the guy from Parks and Rec's about to get down, is going downtown. It's going to be epic.
I didn't realize that was him until I looked up his IMDb after the episode or something, because I've never seen Parks and Rec. So I had no idea that was him. This guy that I've seen in memes all over.
This guy is deadpan. You know what I was talking about on our drag race coverage, which if you're a patron, you would know what I'm talking about. Deadpan humor where the funniest people don't act like they're funny. That's Nick Offerman. He's so deadpan and dry in what he does. It just works. And so we open up. He's a survivalist. Okay. Oh, wait. Before we get into this, I have to address something that really pissed me off about Ellie. They go to a stash house or whatever where Joel's got freaking ammo and stuff that he's been storing, and she goes wandering off and finds a freaking, what is it, a trap door? I don't even know what I put on there. Yeah, a trap door. Go into a basement or something, and her little happy ass can't sit and still and pay and just listen. She goes down there and she finds an infected guy and a box of tampons. What a combo. Infected and tampons. I never saw that coming. But anyway, so she plays with it, cuts it open, kills it, not the tampons, the infected, and then, doesn't tell Joel about it. Just comes back up and says, "Oh yeah, there's nothing left. I found a box of tampons." And he's like, "Perfect." That explains a lot. But anyway, so this goes into 2003 Lincoln, the city of Lincoln. They're evacuating it. The people that they're putting in the truck, you were introduced to their bones right before this segment. Okay. Yeah. This shit is real. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. They will shoot you and they will kill you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. This I bought 100%. They shallow grave, they kill you, they don't need you. And so Bill is a survivalist. He's got the everything you need survivalist, the basement in the basement trapdoor, the artillery, the cameras, the TV, everything. And it's amazing.
Honestly, if I were Joel, like after I drop off Ellie, I would just go back there and live out the rest of my days.
What the hell? I mean, for real, you just couldn't go in that back room ever.
Yeah.
But we'll explain
Right.
that later.
Yeah.
So he's there. Dude is going, let me see my notes here. So he's going to get gas. He's going to Home Depot. He's putting up his traps, his trap pits, his freaking flamethrowers, all of this stuff. And it works because my biggest problem with this kind of stuff is, how does the government not come back? How does the Army not come back and notice this gigantic generator that you have running? Because those things ain't quiet. I'm going to tell you right now, I have a huge ass generator. That thing ain't quiet. Running. He goes to the power station and routes it to his area. Like he does. This guy knows what to do.
He is a MacGyver survivalist.
I mean, this is the kind of person you kind of want to be with. This is my husband. Yes. This is the shit that my husband lives for. He knows exactly what to do. Just trust me. So
I believe you.
Yeah, you know. So he's alone for 4 years, and his big TV entertainment is watching people get stuck in his traps. And these infected get shot because the guy knows what he was doing when he was setting this up. And then all of a sudden, one day, a guy falls in one of the pits, and it's Frank. And, he lets Frank out, and he's like, "I'm just trying to meet some people in Boston, blah, blah." He goes, "Well, it's that way, go that way." And he's like, "I'm really hungry." And and he's like, "Yeah, well, if I let you in, then you're going to go tell your little friends, and they're going to come back, and everybody's going to want a free lunch, and this ain't Arby's." I thought it was funny. He's like, "Well, Arby's doesn't have a free lunch." And it was love at first sight. They matched each other. Okay? Okay. I have so many questions, Tyler. So Bill brings Frank in, lets him take a hot shower, gives them clean clothes. They eat dinner. They have some wine. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
My husband is on the other side of the room in denial. Okay. He's like, no. And look, my husband's not a bad guy. He
hasn't had a lot of exposure to that.
He hasn't had a lot of exposure with this material. Okay, so he doesn't really understand, and that's why he has me, because I've got to translate every fucking thing that he watches and tell him what he can and cannot say. And so we're sitting there, and this is unfolding, and I'm like, she's not going to send this guy back out into the woods drunk on wine and full of rabbit, because he made him a rabbit. And so he's full on rabbit and wine. And I'm like, this guy's not going anywhere. He goes over to the piano. He pulls out some Linda Ronstadt. He's not playing it right, apparently. So Bill goes over and corrects him. It's a beautiful song, by the way. That is a beautiful freaking song. Just listen to it. It's beautiful.
And I'm sure like hearing music, like live piano being played is like in that situation is probably such a healing thing. That I just thought it was really cool.
And he's been alone so long. And he starts playing it, and he's like, "So, can you tell me what girl that song was for?" And he's like, they're never, it's not a girl. And he's like, I know, I get it. And they have this moment, and they end up having an intimate situation together. And Bill is like, I've never been with anyone before. You know, it's the typical, he's been in the closet probably his whole life. And he's finally in a situation he can come out.
Like, that's, so this is like, this is my thing, right? Like, of course, like people are going to be up in arms about it being like a gay storyline, but like the fact that it was two men was like the least important part of the beauty of this whole episode, right? Like, I think the furthest like gay takeaway is that like even in the apocalypse, like it coming out and accepting that is such a scary thing. Like even when like there's literally no such thing as social norms anymore. So it's interesting to see like that that social anxiety take over, like even when the whole world is like literally gone. But like outside of that, like that's like the only like gay takeaway in my opinion. I'm sure like there's, if I were to like read some like more analysis on it, because it has been like perceived very well in the gay community in terms of like a good story.
Look,
but I just didn't even think it was like super gay, if that makes any sense. Like it was, it
and
felt
you're a gay
like
man.
yeah, it felt like a very normal, honestly, it felt like how like Tim and I are like such a partnership. Like it's not like it just all felt very just like normal and solid and good. Even also, when they had, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like even in the apocalypse, you're still arguing over petty shit, which I thought was kind of funny, because they jumped to 4 years later, and he's like, I just want to paint. Everything is just drab. You just let me have this one thing, you know? And he gets on the radio, and Frank talks to Tess, and he's like, we are making friends, Bill, and we are having them over. I just thought that was the best scene when the four of them, because it's a trade. At this point, you are on the radio trading with people, and Frank is actually the one who comes up with the codes. If it's 60s music, 70s, 80s, this is what it's for. So they're sitting there and they're having this lunch out in the open in the sunshine, and Bill couldn't look more Nick Offerman constipated in this moment. It was great. He's got the gun just sitting there on Pedro Pascal, you know, and Frank and Tess are just in there, you know, and they're like, and when they leave, that we got the real talk. Like, listen, okay, I get it. It's hard to trust people. Get that gun out of my face. Blah blah blah. You know, this is what, you know, I can help you. You can help me, and it does become a real trust, a real friendship, because there is a point where scavengers try to break into the property in the middle of the night in a rainstorm. Man, it's always in a rainstorm. Can I get a hallelujah? It's always in a rainstorm when this shit hits the fan, is it not? And the flamethrowers are still going. It's great. Anyway, so Bill gets shot. Frank is helping him. I'm convinced Bill is about to die, because I don't know any better. Well, he doesn't die. But he's telling him in this moment, I have a list for you. I have a list for you. And contact Joel. He will take care of you, because Joel is the caretaker. Whether he wants that role or not, people trust him, and he is a caretaker. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's also a moment before then, which I thought was funny, when they were jogging. Because even in the middle of a apocalypse, there's still time for physical fitness. You still got to look good.
It's probably
And
very
then,
important.
yeah,
It's not even about like looking good, but it's about like
it-
just keeping those motors revved, because you never know like when you might need to be on the run.
right.
I
But they come across the strawberries
mhm.
and that whole moment. I thought was the sweetest thing ever. Hey, Kyle, and I see you. You and your boyfriend were watching it and you were crying during this episode. Yes, I get it. That is the moment where Bill tells Frank, I didn't care until you came along.
Yeah.
This is what got me. I'm going to cry saying it probably. I wasn't scared until you came along. Do you feel that statement?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that
Totally.
statement.
Yes.
Yes, stop. I'm
It is
sorry, Todd. I
so
didn't mean to
layered.
interrupt you. Huh?
No. You are totally fine. Yeah, no, I thought it was a beautiful moment. Sorry, keep going.
That's when my husband just looks over and goes, "Oh God, really?"
But
I'm like, "You
like
just sit
I
over there
hate
and be
that like
quiet."
I hate that like that's where it ends for these people, is like because it's two men saying that. Like that is such a like universal thing that like anybody could feel about
Uh,
the love of their life.
yeah, and it's so funny because Chris is not this terrible person. Like I said, he just doesn't understand a lot of things, and he's just like, "Why do they have to have a?" And what is that even? And I'm like, Chris, do you not understand? Like, you care because I exist, right? Or at least that's what you say in therapy. But you care because I exist. And you
Yeah.
wouldn't care about certain things if Allison didn't exist. And one of those things that Bill was surviving. He was not living. And there is a world of difference between surviving and living. He did not live until Frank came along. And Frank says the same thing in the beginning of the relationship that he says at the end of the relationship when we kick it 10 years into the future and he's sick with what I can only assume is cancer and decides this is my last day. And like I said, he said in the beginning and he says it in the end, just love me the way I want to be loved.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. And I felt that too. And the whole time they're having this last day together and they get married and they get dressed and he's like, you're going to wear the clothes that I pick out for you. I so felt that because I tell Chris that all the time. We're going to a nice event. I'm laying your clothes out. Don't want to hear it. Wear it. But they're a lot nicer to each other about it though than I am. But anyway, so they have that whole moment and I was just thinking, dude, Bill's gonna die too. They're gonna do it. This is gonna be together, and I'm going to lose my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I thought it was a beautiful moment. I thought that because part of the trade is getting medication from Joel, and that's how they got the medication. So the assisted suicide, everybody, suicide's terrible. No, in certain situations, this just fit because Bill says to Frank, I was just surviving until you got here, and I started living when you got here, and I'm old now, and I've lived, and I don't want to do it anymore without you. This is where it ends for me too, and it's okay.
Yeah.
They go back to the room. They shut the door and the windows open.
So this is what I want to double down on for a second, because I don't know if you know this about me, Allison, but I have a minor in gerontology, which is the study of old people. And I really fell in love with that topic. And I really fell in love with that topic in college. And one of my favorite courses I ever took was a like level 400 like death and dying class. And one of the topics that was really heavily talked about was assisted suicide, and how America has a very negative perspective on assisted suicide. And the whole time, like during that scene, I was thinking like, gosh, if I was in that class right now, like this scene would be such a beautiful thing to play in class and dissect, because I just thought it was like such great representation for the pro-assisted suicide argument. Like, we as a society treat dogs and cats way better in their final days than we do humans. You know what I mean by that?
Freaking men, yes.
And I personally believe that people should have a lot more say over when their final moments are happening, especially when death is knocking on their door, like it was in his case in this episode. And just that choice, and watching him like look at that bag of powder and like really, it's probably such a surreal thing to be looking death in the face like that and accept that like this is the end of the road for me. And I'm not like, of course it's scary, it's never not going to be scary, but it's cool to look at that, to look at that bag, to look at like physically look at death in front of you and be able to look back at yourself and say, you know, I'm good. Like, I have had a good life. I've had a full life. I've had a life worth living because of the person that I have spent my whole life loving. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that it was like such a beautiful thing that Bill decided to end his life together with him. I don't even consider it suicide. I just consider it just the end of the road for them. So I guess like this is one of the, like we were just talking about like social pressures and stuff, and how that's kind of taken away from this zombie world. Sometimes taking away those social pressures can result in better things like this. So I just thought like I'm glad that it was a gay storyline, of course, but I wish that there was more chatter online about the discussion about assisted suicide, especially in America, how it's like not really a thing, and in a lot of European nations it is. And
I think the closest thing that we have to that is a DNR. Do not resuscitate. Yeah. Like if something, I have a DNR. If something happens to, I don't want to be resuscitated. I don't. I can't just let me go. It's my time to go. Yeah. That's what when Chris's mother passed away last year, that's what she had. So, and we both have that. I'll be open about it. I also think, and one thing that I thought about is the choice to help help your partner make that decision, even though they're telling you you're still helping. Still in this day and age, gay partners, if you're in a hospital, like if you and Tim are in the hospital, do you have any right to make a decision? Someone that you are spending your life with, you don't have that right to make that decision for him or to help them or even tell anyone that's not what he would want. But they do the opposite. So I was thinking about things like that too. Like at least they had each other and there was no legality. There was nothing, no roadblocks. There was nothing there that said that they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just something I thought about.
And it turned into such a beautiful, like romantic, full circle moment for their lives. So I just like, it's such an interesting topic to me. Like I had a degree in graphic design, and yet I sought out this like gerontology minor, and I just think it's a very interesting topic. I think it's something that if we are lucky enough to be that old, that like we are like seeing our final days and feeling like a fulfilled life and stuff like that, like I guess like changing the narrative of like being fearful of death rather than saying like, look at the life we've had, and like we could all be so lucky to live as long and as full as those two guys did in their lives
and
together.
They lived a happy life. And you know, two bars sayings come to mind. One is something I've been obsessed with for the last 7 years. I got on a Dove candy wrapper. Okay. And I took a picture of it. There's magic in the mess. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's magic in the mess. Like they created magic in the mess of the world around them. And Rihanna once said, "We found love in a hopeless place."
Mm-hmm.
You know, you find it in the craziest situations. Like, would they have? I feel like if it's love, you will find each other no matter the circumstance. If this hadn't happened, maybe they still would have found each other. I don't know. But I do think it works. I think this storyline worked. For me, it worked because it built trust with Joel, because the letter that Bill left for Joel, basically saying, "Take what you need. We're in the back room. Please don't open the door. I left the window open. You know, you are welcome to it." Dude built a car battery for him, which was floored. Cool. Like, I didn't understand what I was looking at. And of course, my husband goes, "Oh, yeah, that's a battery. He's got to do this." Like, Chris told me everything that this guy had to do to make this battery. And I was just like, I was thoroughly impressed. And they make the battery. She's never been in a truck before. But then again, she knew what a cassette tape was and who exactly where to put it. Was anybody else?
Yeah, that's true.
I was a little
well, I guess she had to, because if it were up to Joel, he would play no music.
Well, listen, they shower and they decide that they are going to go. Let's see here. They're going to go to Wyoming. He's like, "Listen, do you want to go to Wyoming with me to find my brother? Let's just go." And they get in the truck and they're going. So everyone that she was supposed to be dropped off with is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to go find his brother now, who he's been communicating with, who has been apparently in a tower in Wyoming, and he hasn't heard from in weeks. And that is where the next, let's see, Joel, after a shower, was looking with Black Widow. I'm just going to say, Pedro Pascal is a very good looking man. And them putting gray in his hair. You know, he's only a year older than me. So he's not that gray yet, but he's getting there. But man, they really had to age him a little bit, because he does not look like that. Because if he's 36 in the beginning, he's 56 now. And that's 10 years younger than where he is now. And Kylan said, "I feel in normal situations, they never would have met." That's true. That is, you know, that's true. You never know, though. But let's see. It was nice to see.
That's kind of, yeah, that's true.
It was nice. Kylan says it was nice to see hairy men on TV also. Yeah, because listen, not all gay men look alike. Okay? Not all gay women. There's not everybody who's gay looks the same. Mm-hmm. And I kind of liked it that they were two.
That's what I mean. It felt just very like normal.
It was real. It was very real.
Two gays would never be cast on Big Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where we leave it off. I think we'll do, so there's 9 episodes this season total. So I think what we're planning on doing is doing a recap for episodes 4 through 6 and then 7 through 9. And probably like once we do 7 through 9, like in that podcast, we'll probably just like recap the season.
We could do 4 and 5.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
6 and 7, and then do the finale. But that we can discuss that, because I don't know if I can wait.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll see where we are.
And then we can like dissect like the individual episodes a little further.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, any more thoughts before we bounce on out of here?
I really feel I kind of, you know, when I was
loving it so much. Like
I love it.
Like as soon as I like saw like the trailer for it, I told you about it instantly. I was like, Allison, I think you're gonna love this show.
I am all about this kind of stuff. I am on a big kick. I think, Kylan, you had mentioned I need to watch Your Honor on Showtime. I love that show. I'm invested in season 2. I didn't really like the last episode, but it'll be okay. I love Brian. I'm a huge Bryan Cranston fan. I'm following that. This is a touchy subject for Tyler, but on Paramount Plus, I started watching The Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner in it, and I'm shockingly loving it. I don't know. It's a great show. Yellow Jackets is about to come back for season 2 on Showtime. The Witches of Mayfair on Amazon Plus. I'm watching that, and of course, I wrapped up interview with the vampire a while back. I'll get to that show eventually. I'm working on it. We'll see. But I got a lot of things that I'm watching. Maybe I'll compile a show together of everything that I'm watching and kind of see what everyone's into. But I think that this shows great potential. Man, I just think there's a world of difference between a comic book and a video game and transcribing a show from one and the other. I just really think that 13 years ago it was a great idea for The Walking Dead, and it was a great concept, and it could have gone in so many directions, and it just burnt out so fast and just turned it just lost its zing for me.
So like before the first episode aired, like I was like super high and playing Dead by Daylight with Beth, and I was saying like the super high part is important because I was trying to explain like why I thought The Last of Us was going to be surprisingly good, because you know how like zombie stuff has like a reputation of just being really terrible and shitty quality and all this stuff. I was like, you know, now that The Walking Dead is over, I feel like The Last of Us is like the first venture into like the next generation of like what zombie in pop culture and like TV shows and coverage and stuff like that looks like. I'm so glad it's in the hands of a network as strong in their content quality as HBO. Like you can tell there's a lot of budget and there's a lot of time and consideration. I think the creator of the video game franchise is one of the executive producers for the show. So they have like direct influence in the story building and storytelling. So like with all those things combined, like I just think like this franchise is in the absolute right hands for it to really succeed and be like quality zombie something that we haven't seen pretty much ever yet, and that's including The Walking Dead. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. It's already been renewed for a second season too.
Yep, that I was about to say. Oh, and fun fact, HBO passed on The Walking Dead.
Really?
Did you know that?
Interesting.
They passed on it. So
well, I guess The Walking Dead had to walk so The Last of Us could run.
Hey, you know, there's always the cat. Yep, there's always, you know, New Kids on the Block had to be big so NSYNC could flourish.
Yeah,
it's you know, there it is. So, but guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for the next couple of episodes of The Last of Us, and become a Patreon. I'm trying to put together a little group to kind of watch go over Yellow Jackets on Showtime. It does not premiere season 2 until the end of March, so you have time to watch season 1. I think it's a great show. It's very my era.
Yeah.
I was a teenager in this time frame. These girls are the exact same age I was at this time. I am a fucking walking encyclopedia for everything that is going on in this show. I know it all. So I just really think that if you're not watching it because you're afraid of cannibalism, that is not what the show revolves around. It's very psychological, it PTSD, emotional, you know, it's real stuff, real stuff. So let's see what's going on with that. But anyway, become a Patreon. We're covering Drag Race All Stars 2 from 2016 right now, per the request of our patrons. If there's any other shows that you would like for us to talk about, any movies, anything, let us know. It's My Weekly Meltdown on Patreon / my whatever. Subscribe to My Weekly Meltdown on YouTube. You will get notifications when we go live. And that is all I've got for now.
There you go. Yeah, that's it for me as well.
Yeah.
I don't really. I was thinking like, do I have anything to promote here? Not really. Everybody stay safe in the storm. If you're in an impacted area, Allison, I know you
So
are too.
over this ice crap.
But and thank you guys for giving us all this insight in the chat
Yeah.
too. It's very helpful, very appreciated. We love all the comments. We love all of that stuff, and also we need more reviews on iTunes, guys. Like, please, please, please. Like, I think the last review we got was from Rory like a year or two ago. So just to like increase our visibility, especially as we're trying to branch out to things outside of reality television, like The Last of Us, we just want. We would love to have some like we love all of our veterans, of course, but we would love to have some fresh eyes and ears on this podcast as well to help break it all down and join us in all the mayhem. So how you can do that, the best thing you can do to do that is to give us reviews on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like all of that stuff. So please do that if you haven't already. We appreciate it like way more than you guys know. We love and know all of you guys so much. And like our community is small enough that like I feel like we know like all of our usuals on a very like cool personal level. And we just want to bring like so many more just awesome people into the My Weekly Meltdown family community. So that's my spiel. Please go and do that for us.
Absolutely. And once Last of Us is over, if you love Pedro Pascal, The Mandalorian starts back up season 3, March 1st on Disney Plus. He may be covered from head to toe, but you know it's him, and that body is lit, and that voice. I don't need to see a face. I don't need to. That's all I got.
All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your night. Take care and bye-bye.